You know them.
Oh yeah, those. Okay.
You know them.
Yes.
I hear they do good work.
M2. Yes, they've been doing
emulation space.
They've been doing some good shit with old games.
Well, I have a trio of old games for you.
Okay.
As luck would have it, from the Mana series. This got announced and released simultaneously at the E3.
Right. Yes, I was there.
You may remember.
Yeah.
This is a Game Boy game.
Why would they put a Final Fantasy game in a Secret of Mana collection? That's ridiculous.
Not actually a Final Fantasy.
It says Final Fantasy right on this screen.
The magic of marketing. So yeah, this is Seiken Densetsu 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Also known as Final Fantasy Adventure, Secret of Mana, and
Trials of Mana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's what they decided to call this.
Sure.
I got on the Wikipedia page for this series after this came out and realized that there were actually like 8 more Mana games after this. Mm-hmm. Legend of Mana, Heroes of Mana.
And then didn't some of those come over like to
I think all
PlayStation?
of them did.
Yeah,
like
those,
Legend of Mana was a PS1 game.
Right.
Heroes, I think, might have been a DS game. Like there's a mobile game.
Sure.
I made a bunch of these, but this one, which seems to be the one everybody likes the most, never came out over here until now, which is kind of wild to me.
Yeah.
This thing's fairly bare bones. I mean, this is the menu.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that they included a sound test for each game.
All right.
Which is pretty exciting.
I played this game. I couldn't tell you a damn thing about it.
At the time?
Yeah.
Oh, because I had started playing it for the first time with this. Because I did not. They got a bunch of translations. You can't switch.
Save data is specific to
yes,
version.
You cannot switch.
It makes sense.
Cannot switch, yes.
They probably could have made that work if they spent some more time on it.
I remember that.
Yeah. You got any other options here for color or
yes,
or
on this one, yes. A fair number on this one. I don't know what this color scheme is. Of course, the classic.
I think putting Game Boy games on a TV is always like weird because I think people want different things from the color, like the color palette, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and even the Super Game Boy complicated that even further by having like 10 or 12 different palettes for non-GB color games,
sure,
or non-Super Game Boy games, I guess.
So I guess that's what this is here, right? It's just kind of a specific color palette.
Yeah, it's like here's a palette that they thought would work well here.
This looks all right.
All right.
Pretty standard stuff. Got, quick save and load type stuff.
That's just like save state type stuff, straight up even.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can toggle those if you want. The manuals are not real manuals. They're just this.
Oh, okay.
But
ooh,
go there.
Feel free to go look at
maybe
their
have
website, I guess.
Scans of the actual manuals there.
Probably
I don't
not.
know. Probably not. And that's pretty much it.
Okay.
You cannot toggle the side art off, which is a real bummer to those of us with TVs that have burn-in issues.
Yeah, that's
ensuring that I will never play this on my television because I don't want to look at that art all the time when I'm not playing this. But that's probably a fairly small number of people at this point.
Yeah.
How many people with plasmas out there at this point?
I've still got one that is theoretically in use, but I don't play games on it. It's like my living room TV.
Okay. They're still good TVs.
Yeah, it's fine. It's not.
Anyway, I mean, this game is what it is. If you want to play.
Yeah,
if you want to play a Zelda-like Game Boy game in 2019.
Yeah, maybe.
You can do so. Well, it's kind of half Zelda, half Final Fantasy.
Right.
Like you're leveling up, you've got XP, and you.
But yeah, I remember hearing the story about how, hey, this is super not a Final Fantasy game. They just renamed it to that.
You mean like at the time?
At the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was like common knowledge until.
It wasn't necessarily common knowledge. Okay. Maybe not at the time. But maybe the years following, right? When the internet kind of came along a little more, and you could have those conversations.
This was my first time playing this game, which was how I discovered that this is where that strange mechanic about your sword like charging up started. Like that meter at the bottom.
Oh.
Like Secret of Mana has that too. Like if you don't attack for a while, your sword gets stronger.
It's a very slow build.
Yeah, like if you just spam it, basically the sword stays at at the minimum damage, but if you let it charge up for a second, you get more.
Do you have any kind of, like, as you level, does that thing feel faster, or is there any...
I don't know. When you level, you pick a point, or you pick a category to put a point into between, like, well, here we go. Let's find out. The power, stamina, and I forget what wisdom and will are the other two.
Yeah, so, I wonder if one of those impacts the speed of the sword charge.
Maybe power?
We'll never know.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be here.
We go look on the internet and find out.
Yeah. I don't know, this color palette looks all right.
Sure, yeah.
It's totally a functional Game Boy game.
That one's a little, you know.
That's the one. I think it's
that's rough. And change it back to that doesn't.
Like they've even got the dot matrix separation.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess I can respect their authenticity.
I don't know, man. Like this isn't.
I mean, I wouldn't want to play it this way.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But I have just been rolling with standard black and white.
Yeah,
which is fine. But this looks okay.
I feel like that kind of standard black and white is what we think of as how Game Boy games look now, because no one plays them on a real Game Boy anymore.
Definitely. Anyway, this game is what it is. This game has good music.
We're into the thick of it now, Brad.
Yep. I always like their box art. Like decent box art for that era when most box art was terrible. Nice little transition effect. Not much to speak of here on the Super NES front.
I'm trying to think if that's like a integer scaling, if it's in that smaller.
Yeah, like I started to say maybe this is like pixel accurate, but it couldn't. It would have to be way smaller than that, right?
Yeah, but if you hit the right resolution, then it's I don't know. We'll go read the open source scan converter wiki later, and I can tell you all about integer scaling versus
it's a lot of
filling the screen.
Yeah, fair amount of speculation that I've seen about what's running these games under the hood.
Yeah,
in this thing.
Whether it's been because didn't Nintendo put its own Super Nintendo emulator into the Switch firmware not that long ago. I remember us talking about that on the podcast.
I'm not clear if that lives in the firmware or in that standalone NES. I guess it would be in the firmware, wouldn't it? Because it wouldn't.
Maybe it is somewhere in there. I don't know where it lives, but it was something that was like an update that was on the system.
People found
references to Canoe.
Yes, Canoe. So again, this all seems to be speculation. I can't say for sure, but people on Reddit were saying that Nintendo does not distribute that emulator to third parties. I don't know where that information came from. Like some people thought that like, oh, this must just be running on Nintendo stuff, but then other people were chiming in saying like, no, Nintendo protects that stuff. Like M2 does its own emulation for these things. Also, apparently this collection's been out in Japan for a while.
Oh, really?
Where it would be totally not newsworthy because these games all came out in Japan.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, you can see my sword like charges up when I swing down there.
Yeah.
I have to wait for the little ding to get full damage again.
It fills up way faster.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Also, this game is weird. Have you ever played this game?
A little bit, like, not really.
It cues damage. Well, I'm doing so much damage you can't really see it, but if I like... See that?
It takes time for it to pop off. Yeah, that's strange.
Like it waits for the full hit reaction to finish, and then it'll just keep popping more damage. You could actually exploit that in boss fights. You can kind
of stun lock these guys.
Yeah, you could totally in boss fights, especially because this is how you. I mean, this is the beginning of the game, but you had a radio menu that paused the action to select spells.
Yeah,
and you could just keep popping spells on bosses over and over, and just kind of stun lock them, sort of forever.
Yeah,
as long as you had MP. This game's good. I think it would probably hold up okay. Like that remake that came out last year was not so good.
Right, I remember that, hearing that was pretty assy.
Yeah. Did you see me do 0 damage there?
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. Like, hey, here's a reasonably accurate version of this game.
When I played that remake last year, I kept wishing that this was just in there so I could play the real thing.
Right.
Because that was not so good. So here's this, which is cool. This game's 3-player.
Right.
It was a weird situation. I don't know if you ever knew about that stuff on the SNES.
I knew that you could do it.
It's
but yeah.
It's three characters all running around doing stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
So if you had, what was the adapter?
Not the 4 score. It was just whatever the 4-player adapter for the SNES.
Yeah. Also, you open treasure chests by shaking them and slamming them on the ground. Anyway, yeah, like that. This is cool because, like, you know, who had that thing back then?
Right.
Like, if you wanted to play 3-player Secret of Mana, you could do so pretty easily on a Switch.
I was gonna say, how does it support? Is it just like, can you just stick up controllers and go?
Yeah, it supports 3 players.
Cool.
Like, it straight up on the product page says 1 to 3 players.
Nice.
So anyway, this game's also been out for 20-something, 25 years,
right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
The real action is to be found here. This is the weirdest thing. Like,
yeah, it's.
If you had asked me like 2 weeks ago, do you ever think Seiken Densetsu 3 will come out in the US in English? I would have been like, what? No, fuck no. Like, that ship sailed in the 90s.
They're like, please leave me alone.
Like, what?
I'm on public transit. Don't talk to me about Seiken Densetsu 3. Despite me wearing my t-shirt that says, ask me about Seiken Densetsu 3.
Yes.
I can assure you.
My feelings on Seiken Densetsu 3 have a lot of people asking questions. Blah, 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 shirt. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess they just sort of pulled this title out of thin air.
Yeah.
Like, they just gave it...
Trials of Mana, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't
know. You know, same emulation stuff. Not really anything.
Yeah, still a Super Nintendo game at its core.
Still nothing much here to see other than the basics.
Yeah.
Pretty bare bones package. I mean, I appreciate the music test.
Yeah, it seems like the interesting thing is like, hey, there's been some stories about what it took for them to get this in English, right?
Yeah.
They had to kind of bust things open, which a lot of fan translators of games like this exact game have been dealing with for years when it comes to just like, okay, we need to pad the ROM out to fit the script, and we need to hack the, So
yeah, those same people that I was reading that discussion about Secret of Mana were saying that this is now a 6 megabit ROM instead of the 4 megabits it was originally.
Right. Yeah.
How they know that, I will leave as an exercise to the viewer.
Right.
You know what's crazy though? I was reading that, so like there have been hacked ROM English translations of this thing since almost when it came out.
Right.
Apparently the first dude who integrated an English script into this game only had a 32 megabit like whatever drive he was working with at the time.
Oh, okay.
So he couldn't make the ROM bigger, so he actually had to incorporate a text compression routine into the ROM.
Wow.
To make all the English text fit, which sounds like some insane feat.
That's a lot.
Feat of programming.
Yeah.
That I kind of want to read more about. I think there's like a post-mortem about what he did out there. Anyway. Yeah, it's insane that this exists. I don't know. I have no idea like what would have kicked this effort off. I would love to hear from somebody like inside Square. You know,
right.
Like,
I mean,
like what got them? Who started talking about this, and what got them talking?
Why now?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
I guess if the game was already out on Switch, then it just became why now? Yeah.
Because, you know, they had to do some work, like, outside of the localization. You know, they had to come up with a name and, like, copyright it and...
rebuild this title screen.
Change this logo.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, it was not a cakewalk, I'm sure, to get this out.
It took some effort. Yeah, proper work. It wasn't just like, oh, well, we already emulated the previous game, drop the ROM in and go.
Yeah. Do you know about this game? Like, what makes it weird?
No.
You can pick any of these 6 characters, and they all start in different parts of the world.
It's like an Octopath Traveler kind of deal?
Yeah, totally. I've gotten to this point like 3 times since I got this collection, and I just can't make a fucking decision. It's like I've been waiting so long for this game. It's like I have to make the right decision, but let's just pick one. Yeah, they all start in different parts of the world, and then so you pick like who your companions are going to be. And I think that even changes the story further.
Right.
Like there's a ton of different
It's not
ways.
necessarily you start with these companions. It's like you meet them along the way.
Yes, I believe you will run into them later. Let's just pick some people. Also, it's not like straight up the FF5 job system, but there is some kind of like branching class upgrade system as you go through the game.
Yeah.
Like you make decisions about like what your starting class evolves into, and that also is complicated by who your companions. It sounds like a mess, basically. Like, it sounds fascinating.
Yeah,
like, games were not doing stuff like that.
I mean, people wanted it translated for a reason.
Yeah,
you know, it wasn't just because of the popularity of the previous game. It was like, hey, this is...
it was like, it sounded ambitious as hell.
And it was pretty late in the game. You know, there's like 95 copyright on it. So this is like PlayStation era.
Totally. I guess this was like one of the last 16-bit RPGs that Square put out.
Yeah.
Square Soft.
So it kind of ended up achieving, you know, like Mother 3 gets all the press, right?
Yes.
But
this is definitely in that same bucket of like cult status. People who can read Japanese won't stop telling you how great it is.
Right.
Also, I read that they weren't using a monospace font for this, and like that text does not look like something you'd see on a Super Nintendo.
No, totally not.
In fact, I saw
probably was a lot of work too.
I saw people saying like playing this. Well, I mean, again, you know, you figure out how they're doing this, but people were saying playing this on like an old school regular CRT. Like NTSC TV, like this text doesn't look right.
Oh, sure,
because it's like higher,
it's weird.
Yeah, it's like higher res and closer together than it should be for a TV of that resolution.
Yep, that's I guess something you can get away with when the expectation is you're playing it on a Switch.
Yep, totally. Like
weird.
Yeah, it's super weird, right?
Huh?
Like it does technically run on Super Nintendo hardware. Like people have tested it.
Yeah,
but yeah, like they made like basically non-standard decisions about how to localize
which
it.
they could because they weren't necessarily building it for that original hardware. It just had to run on an emulator that they could then hack on. Like if they, you know, it's cool that they didn't, but you know, like they could have hacked apart the emulation stuff to get away with whatever they needed to do. Also,
yeah, totally.
It's cool that they kind of did it like the quote-unquote right way.
Right. Oh. So that's all of this has kind of led to me wondering like where this fits into the sort of like history of the Super Nintendo or the preservation scene. Like, does this count as this game's official Super Nintendo US release? Like, it never came out on a cart.
Right. Well, but it came out in Japan, so there's already a release date. There's already like, you know, it's already considered a released video game.
Okay.
Whereas like Star Fox 2 never came out anywhere.
Right.
It's kind of a different level of rarity. It's not like, well, maybe there were, I don't know, but I don't think there were necessarily like prototypes of English script ROMs of this floating around back then or anything.
No,
it was all just fan.
I don't think they even like started
and,
localizing it. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. But yeah, I don't know. That's I
mean, I guess it's just like a academic exercise, right?
Yeah.
At that point.
We would not tag this as a Super Nintendo release in the wiki.
That's kind of what I was actually asking or getting at.
Because this would just be Collection of Mana in the wiki.
Right.
And then they were going to remake this game.
Yeah. So I went back and rewatched some. So basically, like they showed that trailer first at during the Nintendo Direct, and like it wasn't clear what it was until the logo dropped at the end.
Yeah.
And even then, Trials of Mana just sounded like a new Mana game.
Yeah, exactly.
Until they then rolled the trailer for this, and then you were like, "Wait, what the fuck? Wait, that's actually
right?
Oh, that's what that is."
That's a that's a fun order to do that in.
Yes. So I went back and watched that footage of the remake after, I mean, with that knowledge in place. That remake of this game looks way better than the remake of Secret of Mana did.
Cool.
I may be getting this wrong. I want to say people said that they did the Secret of Mana remake on like their mobile engine or something along those lines.
Wasn't that also, that was released on phones, right?
That may be the case. Anyway, the remake of this looks, like just graphically looks way better.
Cool.
Like tremendously better. And it looks like it's more of a behind the back, like third person action game. So they're actually kind of making it more modern, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, this is, like when you think about action RPGs, you kind of like Diablo style games were the games that kind of created the term, but this was a different direction for that concept.
Yeah, I don't know. This always
like Sword of Vermilion and stuff like that.
Man, I like Sword of Vermilion.
You and me are the only ones.
I didn't own it, but I played it at my friend's house a lot.
I finished it.
I feel like I remember that game being kind of metal.
Kinda, yeah.
A little
bit.
bit.
So, yeah.
Should play that sometime. Sword of Vermilion and Vagrant Story. I don't know why those are the games that like stick in my mind as like hella metal, and I liked them. And I kind of want to go back and see if they're actually good or not. Anyway, I don't know what to make of this. Like, should I play through this? I guess I should, right?
I get, yeah. I mean,
like, it's weird to think about playing through a Super Nintendo game in this day and age, but
yeah, you know, they put save states in there to at least give you,
yeah,
you know, which modernizes it and helps put it on a Switch or something because you can kind of save it anywhere and move on.
Like
it seems like it's well regarded.
Yeah.
Like
I longed for this game for so long.
Yeah.
Like I should probably just close the loop.
I always kind of like knew about it and knew that it was well regarded, but was kind of done with the genre at that point and never really.
Yeah, like Secret of Mana was never my favorite, or not even close to my favorite Square game on the SNES.
Yeah.
It was mostly the kind of, you know, widely branching aspect of the story of this that actually fascinated me. But now at a very different time in my life with a lot less free time, the idea of like 6 different ways to start the game and all these other brands, I'm just like, I can't make a decision.
Yeah, just dive into it and go, whatever.
Yeah, sure. This guy seems fine. Seems like a good way to go. Anyway, I don't know, this thing's crazy. The fact that this even exists is wild to me.
Yeah, it's cool that they did it.
It's super cool. I mean, it's $40, which I feel like is kind of pushing the limits of good taste. I don't know, you tell me.
That Game Boy game is a little...
pretty thin.
Yeah, it's maybe not aged well either.
Yeah. I mean, I think this would be fine to play through now, and this certainly, I mean, this is the only...
That's why you're here, you know.
This is the only legit way you're going to get this. So, I guess you'll just pay what they're asking if you want it. But, I don't know, maybe a tad steep.
A little bit, but...
And I think it's getting physical release at some point.
Oh, huh.
And then I don't know.
Maybe you could find a... You know, those will go on sale.
Yeah.
Eventually, so maybe you find something that way.
Yeah, also, I mean, there's nothing like binding this to the Switch, right? They could bring it out on...
Sure, right.
PC, PS4, or whatever. But, yeah, it's out now.
It's cool.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah. Ancient Dolphin.
Yeah. Take us out, Ancient Dolphin.